You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle, TGI Sports Talks MLB update. We're back in the studio after being away last week. We didn't have a show. We apologize. We did do our Sunday stream of consciousness remotely from beautiful Mystic Seaport in Connecticut. We had a great weekend, long weekend, Thursday to Monday out there with family, and it was a great time. And I was glad to be able to spend time with you guys on Sunday, but we didn't do a Major League Baseball update, so we got lots to talk about today, and we'll get into that in a second. Got a couple of announcements as well. Want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, where else? Roku, the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. We've got some announcements to make about that here in a little bit, and Sunday we'll get into more of it. Thanks to the groups that allow me to share this show and all my shows. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, Flo and the gang at Bottom Line Sports. Flo's deployed now. We thank him and hope he's continue to hope he stays safe. Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the gang do their podcasting. Lots of great podcasts there, as well as certainly on National Streaming Sports. Who else? Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. Of course, a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does a lot of great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh focus, but a national footprint. Been a guest on the Sports Corner with him and Smoking Jim Frazier, which airs from 2 to 6 p.m. I'm sorry, on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. We've been a guest there a few times and always have a good time. We want to say thumbs up to DDH, thumbs up to Mac McGrath, those who are watching over all of our shows from above. And we'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. We're kind of on a hiatus, as we've done every summer with the College Football Huddle, but we'll be back in August. And we're going to have some other news. We'll be starting. There's going to be some changes. Well, theoretical changes to National Streaming Sports. We don't know yet. With Mac's unfortunate passing, there's going to be some changes. Some of them may be not noticeable. Some might be, but we'll talk more about those as they come to light. We will be starting a new series. As you know, Mac used to do a show with Jack Hirsch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I believe, the Mac and Jack show. Jack and I are going to team up and do a show on Mondays. It will be called, what will it be called? Let me give you I've already lost the name. Keith and Jack's Weekend Playbook. That'll be on Mondays and Fridays. So we're going to bookend the weekend and give you all the sports that's fit to be printed. The tagline that I've come up with to work with so far is this, my friends. Just let me give it to you here real quick. I love ChatGPT. You know, AI and I are not going to be friends, but it was fun here. Smart takes, loud opinions, real sports. That's going to be our tagline. I had to run it by Jack, but you can check that out from at 8 a.m., 8 to 9 on Mondays and Fridays. No, and hopefully be on Roku. But if it's not, it will air on my platforms, TGI Sports Talk, my personal page, on my YouTube page, on my Twitter page. So we'll be doing that every Monday, and I'll put a promo out for it this weekend, similarly to I do my other shows. We look forward to you guys joining us and bringing those great comments that you do all the time. What's going on in baseball now? We'll get into it. Let's see who's here with us. Say hello. Hello, Drew. Good to have you with us. Yeah, you know, I had to go in, Drew. It was Guys, if you don't see me on the TGI Sports Talk page, just click on my profile picture because it'll bring you to the show. Why it does, I had to remove it and put it back to get it to show up in the feed again. No idea. Thank Facebook for that. But anyway. And this is Drew saying, I don't know what it is. When I retire, we're going to focus more on YouTube, and Facebook will put to bed I will probably never put Facebook to bed, but probably put me to bed first. Scott Kobe, how are you, my friend? Quick question for you, Scott. I see you in the TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football League. I want to make sure that you're going to be in and participating because I'm trying to help CA out and make sure that everybody's in there that will be participating, and we don't have anybody who's not playing this year. We had a couple of problems last year. You weren't one of them. But I'm just trying to clarify with a couple of people that I don't chat with all the time. Scott, we're glad you're doing better, by the way, health-wise. Good to have you with us again today. What else? What's he say? Are we ready for the Shuffleboard Championships this weekend? If we don't get rained out, sure, I'm ready. I'm going to shoot both left and right-handed. I want to give the other teams a chance. My hot take, Alex Cora will be fired at the end of the season, or maybe that may not be a hot take. I thought he was in trouble last year, quite frankly. Yes, excellent. Scott's in, so I can cross him off my list. I got a couple other people. I don't know who they are, so I got to get CA to help me. He pretty sure that everybody's in there is active, so we got to fill in some spots. And I still got to get an invite to Danny and Paul, which I haven't been able to do just yet for some reason. Somebody's all-star. We're going to get into that too, Drew. We'll get into the all-star finalists. We'll certainly talk about that. And what else we got to talk about? Mets and Yankees second half, if you want. The Devers trade, we haven't had a chance to talk about too much here, I don't think. I talked Sunday about the Schmidt no-hitter that wasn't. I am so tired of managers taking the ball out of guys' hands. I don't give a crap that he threw 103 pitches. Anyway, I've already dealt with it. We can deal with it here since some of us haven't had a chance to talk about it. Bond's getting a statue in San Francisco. I wonder how big they'll make the head. Canning with an Achilles injury for the Mets. Is that going to hurt them? Witt will play in the WBC. Good. I want these guys to play for their countries. Kershaw closing in at 3,000 strikeouts. Might get it at home. Franco found guilty. We can touch on that. The Ketel Marte thing in where did that take place? Chicago? Guys, if you're a fan and you buy a ticket, I have said this before. When I was doing my own hot takes, what the hell did I call them? I don't remember what I called them now. And I maybe go back to doing those as well when I retire. I did a whole thing on this with fans acting out. You don't get to do whatever you want. You don't get to sit there and berate and hurt some guy over the death of his mother to bring him to the point of tears. And if you guys don't think grown men ought to be crying, grow up and understand what life is all about. And you guys, and Major League Baseball has suspended this guy from being able to go to any ballpark anywhere for an undetermined amount of time. I wouldn't let him back in anywhere. And anybody who acts out in that form should be. You can boo guys, you can do whatever you want, but don't make it personal. You're buying a ticket doesn't give you a green light to do whatever you want. I've talked about that. We all have a social contract with everybody, with each other, to be polite. Don't flip off people on the road. You know, don't berate people about personal tragedies in their lives. It's nonsense. It really ticks me off. But we'll get into some baseball. Hello, Michael Gott. How are you? I'll get to you in a second. We're going to get to those, I said. Remember, the standard used to be 120 pitches for, I mentioned 103. It used to be. Hell, freaking Nolan Ryan would throw 180 pitches in a game sometimes. Baby, these guys. Hello, Michael Gott from across the The Pond. Not been following Major League Baseball of late. Who are your front runners for the playoffs in the World Series, or is it too early to say that? Well, we said it in March, so it can't be too early now. We'll get into that here. Let me look at here right now. I would say, look at the Tigers are playing great baseball. First team to 50 wins. I would say right now the Tigers are the favorite in the American League. I hope my Yankees can rebound. I did not pick them to participate in this year's playoffs. Who else? Listen, the Astros you can't look past. I think the Mariners will get it back together again. I would say the Tigers are the favorite in the American League, Michael. And in the National League, I'm sorry, it's the Dodgers who are tied right now at 51 wins with the Tigers, won 4 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10, playing great baseball. Other hots, who's hot and who's not? The Rays are hot in the East, 7-3, pulled within a half game of the Yankees at first place. The rest of the East is not hot. Tigers, I mentioned. I said hot because they were first to 50. They're playing a little raggedly right now. The Royals have lost 5 in a row. The Astros have won 4 in a row. The Phillies have lost 3 in a row to fall to second place again to the Mets. The Angels have won 3 straight again. The Giants have lost 3 straight. The Marlins have actually won 4 straight. That won't last. And the Dodgers, as I said, 8-2 in their last 10. And the Rockies, I put them in a hot column. They're 4-6 in their last 10. 400 winning percentage. When your overall winning percentage is 222, that's pretty good. For their update, the the Major League Baseball loss record, Chase, they're on a pace right now to be 32-130. So we can talk about any of that. So, Michael, that answers your question for now. It's not too early. It's too early to make a bold prediction. Well, it's never too early to make bold predictions. Drew and I made them in March. We'll look at the standings here in a second. We're going to look at the All-Star finalists, which we'll get into that probably pretty quick as Drew brought it up already. We'll dive into it. If you buy a ticket, yes, you can boo, you can cheer, but that's it. People who do that. Sorry, I mispronounced. I missed the punctuation. People who do that are low life scums and don't belong as a fan of Major League Baseball or any sport. I remember when I went off on this a couple of years ago, it was in basketball. Guys were spitting on players, throwing food at them. You don't have a free pass to do whatever you want. Don't give a crap how much you paid for your ticket. I'm very angry about this whole Ketel Marte thing. Here's Scott's take. Some talk about where the Rays would play in the playoffs, by the way. I don't know whether Major League Baseball. I saw this, and Drew, maybe you have more information, or Scott does. I haven't read the article, but I noticed an article earlier. Must have been in The Athletic, I guess. The Rays and Major League Baseball are having preliminary talks about possible home playoff home field for them because it only holds 10,000 at Steinbrenner Field. So they need to they got to make some that will hurt them in the postseason, by the way. So anyway, Rays, Tigers, Astros, Mets, Cubs, Dodgers. There's just something missing with the Yankees. I agree. I was going to talk some about the Yankees and Mets because we are heading to the second half, right? I mean, everybody's played 82, 83 games. People look at the All-Star game as the theoretical halfway point. Well, we've already reached the halfway point. We got some great stories coming up. But the Yankees, okay, we need a third baseman so we can get Jazz back to second. We might need a right-handed bat in the outfield. Still worry about the depth of the pitching, although Will Warren and Clark Schmidt are stepping up big time. Mets, I'm not sure about the Mets. The Mets seems lots, man. Quick synopsis. Unfortunately, over here, baseball is not at the top of the sports news. Why not? Listen, you always come here. You come here Fridays at 3:00. One thing, too, guys. We don't have a huge audience this afternoon. I was going to wait till we had a few more following us. But when I retire, which is coming up in 59 days, I've been considering moving the time and or day of this show. So I'm going to have 2 shows at 8 o'clock on Mondays and 8 a.m. Mondays and Fridays with Jack Hirsch, as I said. And we'll look to do we're going to look to pick up the interview show again, but I can air that anytime. And later in the day might be better for getting guests, especially on the West Coast. The Major League Baseball on Sundays, I'm going to say the same time. But the one show that I'm really considering, 2 shows I'm considering moving. The College Football Huddle, possibly from 7 o'clock, although I might have to keep it that time. This show, though, is one I may consider changing. I don't want to change it if some people can't make it that are regulars here. But I want to increase the viewership and then make it easier on myself if I don't want to, just hang around the house all afternoon waiting to do this 3 o'clock show. So any input you guys have about that, I'd love to take. That includes you, Michael, Scott. My thought is the Rays make the playoffs. Atlanta could be a destination spot. Yeah, I don't know. Where are they actually? I don't know if they've really talked about any specific locations or not. The need for the league to make here's why they need to make thousands of tickets available for a variety of participants and stakeholders. Gate receipts obviously would be awful. But I don't really see where it's said a whole lot. And by the way, that would impact players too because of their take. I'm not sure what they'll do. I guess they don't mention anything here. I'd like to see them find a place to play where there's no baseball being played. Good afternoon, Dave Guyette, up in Amsterdam, New York. Good to have you with us. Here's one of my favorite segments is Drew tries to stump Karnak here. He blocked my face. There's so many birthdays today. Yordan Alvarez, who we all know, currently playing Major League Baseball. Jonah Heim, that's the Texas catcher, I think. Abraham Almonte, no clue right now. Jim Johnson, I remember, pitcher for sure. There have been a few Jim Johnsons, a couple pitchers named Jim Johnson. Chris Woodward. Man, I want to say a pitcher. This is a tough one today. Johnny Estrada, former Yankee prospect catcher. Darrell Ward, outfielder with the Astros, probably other teams. Jim Edmonds, we all know from the Angels and the Cardinals. Jeff Conine played on the world champion Marlins, as well as a couple other teams. I know he played with Baltimore. Jackie Gutierrez, shortstop, I want to say. Rico Petrocelli, great player with the Red Sox. I've tried a few times to get him into an interview, and I still hope to do so. Rico started out as a shortstop, hit 40 home runs as a shortstop before he was moved to third base. Eddie Casco, former manager for the Red Sox. I think he played before that. Wayne Twilliger. I want to say, I know he was a coach with the Rangers. I want to say he pitched for the Rangers too. See how I do there. Gus Zernal, no clue. Rube Benson, 15 seasons somehow. Huh? That's 6 years. They do math like Perth people. And a player named Bull Durham. Only 9 games in 5 years. That's a good list. Good list. Tell me where I went wrong there, Drew. I think you should have one of us on each interview show if you can't get guests. Scott, you're welcome to come on anytime, dude. I remember when the Yankees were it's not about getting guests. I just haven't had the time or the energy to chase them down, quite frankly. We will be getting them, so don't you worry about that. Michael remembers a time when the Yankees were feared and scary. Well, so do I. And they have been at different points in life. Before I was born, they were obviously at their dynastic best. You know, they were winning World Series, it seemed, every year. They had several dynasties. And then the 70s, they were tough. And the 90s, they were tough. But every other time in between, they've only been good. Nobody liked facing them. They could easily fight themselves out of something hasn't been right for a while. First of all, baseball's a lot different than Yankees. Used to use Kansas City. The Kansas City A's is kind of a farm club. They brought Roger Maris in for for a bag of balls. Wander Franco, you're out here. Can you believe this guy has inappropriate sexual relations with a 14-year-old and he gets 2 years suspended sentence in the Dominican? Major League Baseball hasn't spoken yet, but mark my words, you will not see Wander Franco play the Major League Baseball ever again. MLB After Dark with Keith Engle. Just think about the possibilities. Like 2 a.m. or something, you think, Scott? It's funny. I prefer not to get into nights. More nights. I'm not sure. And we're not going to make any radical changes because I don't know what, retirement will look like yet, time-wise. I did commit to the 8 a.m. show with Jack. 8 a.m. is not bad, right? I mean, you get up. I'm an early riser anyway. I'm up with the sun. So to do an 8 o'clock show, you're not going to waste a lot of the day. If I plan to play golf those days, we'd play a little later. So, and that could get expanded to Wednesday too. Jack wanted to do 5 days. I think 5 days is too much. Again, obviously there's shows on ESPN and whatnot to do 5-day formats, but you end up repeating, and we end up repeating topics too, but just because you have to. But I like this bookend. I like Monday and Friday. The in-flight, explain the in-flight fly rule. I forgot we did that. To stop a fielder from, yes, exactly, 100%. We can't have, and I think this was, again, probably taking place a lot. I don't remember, Drew, what we came up with a year that was instituted. I think it was later than I thought. But yeah, you could deceive a base runner and get a double play, especially if the guy's not running to first base, which is all the time today. Hello, Rick Sherlock. Good to have you with us. Rick, I have a question out to the group, and I'll continue to ask it. If we were to have this show at a different time and day, when would you think that would be good? Or when I retire? And again, I'm not going to rush into it because I don't know what retirement will look like. But I'd rather not tie up my Friday afternoons if I don't have to. But if this is the best time for the show, then we will continue to do it that time as well. LCK Dog. Good to have you with us. First time talking about Wander Franco. Blame that on the mother for sex trafficking. That is what got him off the hook for more years. The mom said she was 17 at first, and then the police found out she was 14. All right. What's he doing with a 17-year-old? I get your point. And it's not here. I mean, some states here, he would certainly serve a little bit of jail time. I'm just saying. I don't know all the particulars of this story just because it's so sordid. I don't care to jump into it that much. But it's an important story. He was a very fine player and becoming maybe a great one. And that won't happen now because he'll never play Major League Baseball again. If the mom was pimping her out, which sounds like you're saying here, LC. And it's great to have you with us. I hope you'll like and follow the show and share it with your friends. Let me see what I'm going to skip. I'm going to go back. I'm skipping a couple things here just to go back because I think LC's still talking about the same thing. I've been part of some weird stuff as a high school baseball coach and whatnot. But last night we played a team. That's interesting. It isn't the same topic, but that's okay. But last night we played a team for the American Legion, and the opposing pitcher threw a no-hitter, and we won 1-0. It happens. Andy Hawkins pitched a no-hitter for the Yankees and lost 4-0. Walked a bunch of guys, errors. I'm assuming there was a few walks in this game and some bad fielding, LC would be my guess. Let's see. Drew had a surprise up here. That's good stuff. I'm glad you're coaching, LC, and I'm glad to see somebody with some some current involvement coaching. I was a coach, and after I played, I coached a while, rookie league, which would be American Legion, basically. I'm surprised you don't know Gus Ernell, power hitter with the Chicago White Sox, 11 years. I don't know that name. I swear to God, I've never heard that name. Power hitter with the White Sox and Phillies, KCAs, 11 years, 383 home runs, and I don't know him? Wow. I'm surprised myself, but I swear to God, I've never heard that name. Is it an anagram you put up there or something trying to screw me up? I need my rest like Jack and Sleepy Joe. So if you didn't hear the announcement, Rick, I will be doing there's some changes coming to national streaming sports with Max passing, and Linda's not going to continue funding the show, if you will. So not sure what format's going to take. If there is one, I know there's some talk about us, some of the shows that were there joining another affiliate. And if we don't, we continue to do our shows on our own platform. So my shows will always be here. But with the Mac and Jack show, really, Sonia has done a great job of picking up the hosting duties that Mac did for a lot of his shows. But she won't be able to continue that with school and work. So she'll still be involved somewhat, mostly on, maybe not on weekends because of her homework workload. But Jack and myself will be doing basically the Mac and Jack show. It will be rebranded. What did I say it was going to be? I don't even know yet, but I can't remember this. I don't know why. Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook is what we got. And the tagline I have that we're going to work with, by the way, I love ChatGPT. Smart takes, loud opinions, and real sports. So that'll be Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. And it'll always air right here on my platforms, and any place I share to, we'll share to the groups like we do all the other shows now. And we'll see what happens with the Roku situation. We'll keep you guys informed for those who want to know about that. So you'll see a lot more Jack on my network here. LC, oh, there we go. I already showed that, didn't I? Thank you for that information, though, my friend. I bet you it was what I said. It'll probably be another comment. So Eddie Casco did play with the Cardinals, Reds, and Colt 45s, the original Houston Astros. I remember him mostly as a manager of the Red Sox. Couldn't get him over the top. In fact, he managed them, I believe, until Darrell Johnson took over and took them to the World Series in 1975. Eddie had some really good teams, just couldn't get past the Orioles in the American League East. Scotty says, too bad a talent like Wander Franco resorts to doing this stuff and ruining his career. Shame on the Rays for not doing their due diligence on this guy and giving him a huge contract, which I think, by the way, I mean, there's got to be a morals clause in here somewhere, right? I would think the Rays will probably be able to get out from under most of this. But again, if you see him play, I'd be shocked. So LC talk, or I hope you don't mind LC or K-Dog, whatever you want me to go by, so I don't have to use this whole tagline. I'll be happy to use. LC, no walks. One hit by pitch. We stole second, sack bunt, and then a sacrifice fly. That's baseball. I love this story, LC. As an old timer, as you can tell, I'm old school, and I love seeing this type of story because this is the type of thing you don't see in baseball anymore. This is awesome. What a great story. Steve Stoolmaker from MDF Commerce. Even though you're not keeping an eye on me, I'm still working. This is a strange place to tell me you're still working, Steve, but I believe you're working and doing a great job at it, by the way. Steve's looking forward to the All-Star game. Great show. By the way, back to regular uniforms. Hallelujah. No more trying to figure out who's who, what team they play for. It's been awful. What's it been? 4 or 5 years? They're going to wear their own uniforms. Great job. Great show. Thank you, Steve. After September, you can host your show at any hour. I can. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the timing of this show, as I said. Could stay right here. Harry Ford, catcher with the Mariners, called up finally with the Garver injury. You're not going to get to play much with Riley having a superstar season. Good afternoon, JB. How are you? Where are your Orioles today? They were making a little inroads, but now they've lost 2 in a row, 4-6 in their last 10, back to 12 games under 500 and 12 games out of first place. Am I going to count them dead yet? I had them winning this freaking division. 7 back in a wild card. You're not done, sadly. When you got 12 wild cards, that's what happens. I do want to get to these all-star finalists, by the way, that Drew talked about. Colorado Rockies promote the owner's son. I really think we should relegate. I used to get on, or relegate? Yeah. Am I using the right term again? I asked you, Michael. Michael Gott. So soccer teams, we relegate them, we delegate them to a lower league and bring somebody else up. Bring the best team up out of AAA. Put the Bananas, the Savannah Bananas out there or something. To put it in perspective, we're facing Jack Bauer. I love Jack Bauer. I want to know who this is. One of my favorite TV characters of all time, Jack Bauer from 24. A high school senior from Illinois who's a lefty throwing 102, will be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. What's his name? Is it Jack Bauer's his real name? Is that? I thought you were just using that as a name. You're off both days, so that works for me. You don't work at all. I was going to wait till I retired to start the Monday thing, but I can buzz out at 8 o'clock in the morning for an hour. What do I think Major League Baseball needs to do to get more eyes on the All-Star game? First of all, start wearing their own uniforms. There's step one. Play it an earlier hour. Number 2. And stop. You know what, Scott? And stop with all the, let's just play baseball. I don't need to see guys mic'd up, which has turned into regular season games now as well. I don't need, and maybe they feel they need all these bells and whistles to get casual people in. Casual people don't show it I don't think, show up for the All-Star game anyway. And they'll never get the eyes on it that they have in the past, obviously. None of the sports in general, you don't have people watching in the same numbers that have watched in the past because there's so many choices on TV. And interleague play has killed the All-Star game. There's another thing you can do. You want to get more eyes on the All-Star and kill interleague play. You could start tomorrow, and you wouldn't hurt me. And by the way, you wouldn't hurt Major League Baseball at all. Interleague play has killed the All-Star game. To me, that's probably the number one thing. Just my take. Astros, Dodgers, and Mariners with 4-game streaks. Royals and Red Sox with 5-game losing ones. I think the Royals are only at 4, Drew, actually. No, they're at 5. You're right. I wrote down 4 here. I don't know why. How about the Angels staying around 500? I think the team with the worst record in Major League Baseball should have to play the next year in the minors. And there you go. Delegation and relegation, whatever the frick can call it. I mean, one smart, and I derided the Mad New Yorker for bringing that up. Maybe he's right. Jack Bauer's his real name, 6'3" lefty who is from Frankfort, Illinois. Currently committed to Mississippi State, pending on where he gets selected. Interesting. Relegation. I always mix this up. Usually it's 3 teams drop in the division below them. Promotion is the opposite. That was the big storyline in Ted Lasso, right? And finally getting promoted. I agree. We need 19 division games again. 100%. I need 22 division games is what I need. Let's go back to 2 divisions and no interleague play. What do you say? Never going to happen. Drew, thanks for the mention of the Red Sox 5-game losing streak. We would have got there. Cal Raleigh leads in homers, RBIs with an unheard of for him, 275 batting average. That's the most amazing thing about this for me. And how does he have only 47 walks? Pitch around him. Well, you keep pitching to him. You think, again, that's what happens when you don't have a reputation and people think, oh, he's done. It's not going to continue. Drew, you brought this up at the top. Let's take a look at the finalists for the All-Star game, since we've been talking about that. The number one in the top vote getters in each league are already in. They're done. That's Aaron Judge and Ohtani. Best two players in baseball, no argument. I don't think anybody can make an argument about that as well. So they're in. Ohtani's going to be at DH because he doesn't have a glove except for when he pitches. He has started pitching again, so we'll talk a little bit about that in the weeks to come. So let's look at the finalists. And again, we got more voting that will start on Monday, I believe. So in the American League, the finalists are Cal Raleigh and Alejandro Kirk. I don't think there's any question about what's going to happen here. I don't know whether Kirk should be this guy either. It might be one of the guys Drew's talking about. This is the American League, by the way, of course. First base, Pedro Guerrero. Where'd I get Pedro Guerrero? I'm in the middle of a book about the 60s Dodgers. Maybe that's why. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt having a really good bounce-back season. He's slumped a little bit of late, but still having a really solid season. And Guerrero has been a bit a little un-Guerrero-like, but I like this. I'm sure there are other guys that can be here. I'd love to see Paul Goldschmidt be able to make the team. Gleyber Torres and Jackson Holliday. Second base plays a little bit weak in the American League, as you can see. Torres has enjoyed a resurgent season. He's hitting 280 with an 803 OPS. He's played pretty well. Holliday has picked it up a little bit since his slow start, especially after where he was last year. He's up to 9 homers with a 721 OPS. Nobody's hit on that Baltimore team. Jose Ramirez, perennial all-star against Alex Bregman, who's been hurt. Certainly no problems here with Ramirez. And Bregman was playing pretty well before he got hurt, so I really don't know that I have a problem here. Jacob Wilson, one of the surprises of the season with the A's at shortstop against Bobby Witt, who's not having quite the season he had last year when he would have won an MVP in many other years if he didn't have an Aaron Judge competing against him. I don't think that Jacob Wilson is going to be able to win this, but again, he's been getting pretty good vote count, even with the A's playing in a 14,000 seat stadium. Although you're not just voting in the ballparks anymore, obviously. In the outfield, you got Riley Green. Did I miss something there? Riley Green, Javier Baez, excuse me, Mike Trout, no, Stephen Kwan. I mean, I'm okay with Green, but Trout shouldn't be there. Baez, I gotta believe that we got better options than that. Designated hitter Ryan O'Hearn and Ben Rice. Ben Rice has had a decent rookie season, but I wouldn't say. I don't know that this is an all-star worthy season that Ben Rice has been having. The National League, Will Smith and Carson Kelly are the catchers. Smith has had a really good offensive season. I didn't think Kelly was doing that well. He did open the season well, but has slumped, I think, recently. He's still at 823 OPS. All right. Freddie Freeman and Pete Alonso at first base. I'm not sure I can argue with that. Ketel Marte, as we've already talked about, and Tommy Edman at second base. Edman, I don't know how much second base he's played. I've seen him mostly in the outfield. We'll get back to your comments in a second, so don't Put any comments up you want, including any of these selections. I'm not sure how many games Edmonds even played, as I said, at second base. Manny Machado and Max Muncy, the Dodgers' Max Muncy. We talked a lot about Machado, soon to reach that 300 home run mark. Muncy's played pretty good baseball, I think, this year, by the way, since he came back from being hurt early in the year. Lindor and Betts at shortstop. Betts is not putting up great numbers, by the way, that we're used to. The outfield, Pete Crow Armstrong, former Met, one of the great Met trades of all time again. Teoscar Hernandez, Ronald Acuna, who hasn't played a whole lot of the year. Kyle Tucker, Andy Padges, and Juan Soto with the Mets. Not great. And where's the DH? Don't we have a DH? We got to scroll further. No, we don't even. They don't vote for a DH in the National League. I don't have anything here. Anyway, let's go to your comments about this and other stuff. Where were we? Michael Gott, this is where we left off. No, we left off here. I actually like the new schedule format. I know that I'm in the minority, but I love playing every team every year. I hate it. LC. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I'm old school, and if I could turn back the clock to 2 divisions and no interleague play, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. I don't care about. I can see. You know what? Again, I brought this up in the context of what Scott asked about how you make the All-Star game attractive again. You'll never make it as attractive as it was when I was a kid, because the only time I would see Henry Aaron and Willie Mays and Bonds, Bobby Bonds, and a lot of these National League stars, and even some of the guys in the American League, was in the All-Star game, because I didn't have games on every night. We didn't have interleague play. I think it hurt something. Ohtani would be a mythical figure if you didn't see this much of him. And I know, again, there's something to be said for, attendance in ballparks and Ohtani bringing in people to the seats, just like Aaron Judge does. I would also mention Aaron Judge in that same sentence, by the way, because Ohtani is only better than Aaron Judge when he actually is also pitching, which he has started doing again. LC, you're in Kentucky. I'm not sure where you're at. I know you mentioned Jack Bauer was from Kentucky. Let us know where you are and who your team is, by the way, so I have an idea what our agenda is. Not that you have one. I do that to myself. Michael Gott treated himself last week for nostalgia reason, the classic Astros orange, white, and yellow jersey from the 65 and 86 seasons. I love those jerseys. I really did. I'm sure a lot of people didn't. But they had some good teams. Late 70s, early 80s. Hal Lanier leading that team in 86 to the National League Championship Series. That classic sixth game between the Astros and the Mets knowing they had to win in 6 games because they were going to see Mike Scott in Game 7. Those were some classic uniforms. And of newer teams, let's say. I love those teams. I really did. Scott, sorry to bring up the 5 games losing streak, I'm sure. I've seen seesaws with less ups and downs than your Red Sox team. Hello, Chris F. Grave, our Canadian correspondent. Good to have you with us today. Where do you have fonder memories of late Bob Welch, with the Dodgers or with the A's? Personally, my fondest memories of Welch are in the 78 World Series when him and Reggie, Bob Welch was pitching, was a kid, was pitching out of the bullpen, just throwing smoke, and struck out Reggie in a big spot. Game 2, I want to say. Not quite sure. But then later on in the series, Reggie came back and got even with a big home run against Bob Welch. But I think most fans are going to remember him for pitching with the A's. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he won 27 games with the A's circa 1988 or 9, somewhere in there. Somebody can fill me in on how close I am there. Did I hear Ohtani bet on himself to be a 22-1 overall top floor? No, but I heard his former interpreter had a bet, and maybe Ohtani was holding a ticket. So there's a lot of this, innuendo and rumor out there that, this guy took the fall for Ohtani. I'm not buying it, by the way. But at the same time, I'm also not buying the fact that this guy never bet on a game of baseball in his life. If you're down millions of dollars, the smart play, when you're around players all the time and you know what information that everybody else doesn't know, you'd be betting on baseball games to try to get even, because that's where you'd have the most information, most reliable information to be able to get yourself out of a hole. Michael I said that. Did I go backwards or what happened? Oh, Michael repeated himself. He likes this. That's how much Michael likes this jersey. I like those uniforms, by the way. I wore the pants in the 80s, 90s, 80s and 90s. They had there was a gray pant with the same color scheme on the waist and on the legs, and I wore it. Went great with the uniforms for our fast pitch softball team, and I wore those pants for about 7 years during that phase. That was with Gino's Pub, by the way, the great Gino Pub. Hello, CA, TGIF to you. I just confirmed Scott was in. I did want to ask you, CA, while I got you here, a little unrelated baseball stuff. I can't seem to get the invite to Danny and Paul. I was able to forward your email to them, but only Danny didn't get back to me, but Paul did. And he said it didn't take him to the league, so I'm not sure what to do. I haven't tried it on the computer yet. I was doing it on my phone. But I wanted to confirm something as well while you're here. I know we said, and if you can take a couple quick notes, CA, I'd appreciate it. So I talked to Scott, so I know he's in. I know who I am. Marshall's Hall of Fame. I know that's probably Rick, Pork and Beans. You explained to me. Nick's nifty team. Scott, maybe you can confirm. I don't know if Nick fully participated last year or not, or plans to play again. Maybe you can say something in that regard. Honey Badgers, I don't remember who that was. Headless Horseman, I don't remember. Allen, I'll reach out to. I know he's Cowboys for life. So again, anything we can do in that regard, a little off the topic here, guys. I apologize, but I wanted to make sure that we Honey Badgers is Anthony. He should be in. Headless Horseman. Oh, that's Neil Bush. So Neil should be in. We'll confirm with Neil. Boss 8, I still don't know who that is. Scott, we confirmed with. Allen is Cowboys. Pork and Beans, you told me who it was. And Nick, I believe, is Nick Bodkins. So I want to confirm those guys are going to be in. And we still got to figure out a way to get stuff to Danny. And I got to go on live. Let me check on the computer because I want to share the link, and screw Yahoo. I'll figure out a way to share the link. I've done it before. And I think it's YouTube you're having trouble with, right? I just need a link to the site, and if there's a password, that's what I got to get. I'll try right after the show again, CA, but I wanted to run that by you. And how about them Astros? Playing great baseball. I always say don't write the Astros off. Had them in the playoffs myself. I have Seattle winning that division, but I do have the Astros in the playoffs. I'm ecstatic about my stuffing the ballot for the Bregman has worked. He's had a decent year until he got hurt. Here we go. No, Kirk deserves it. Fair. Catcher's such a weak position, man. Catcher's in second base. AL second base seems to be a wasteland. If Torres and Holiday are the choices, Bregman has been injured. Injuries shouldn't keep you out of the game. They're off the ballot and not elected, by the way. We've had a lot of guys who had to be injury replaced. I'm all in with you on Baez, Trout, and Kwan, though. I mean, don't forget, Willie Mays made it when he was a Met. I believe he was a starter that year, the year San Francisco traded him to the Mets, and his numbers were atrocious. Willie got elected a bunch of years when his numbers weren't good. Johnny Bench got elected a bunch of years when his numbers weren't good. Joe Morgan got elected a bunch of years when they were kind of, votes for the past, which I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with that. Scott asked for ways to improve the game. Putting guys in there who have been, and that's all. I'm okay with Trout being on the team. I really am. Yaz played a bunch of years where he wasn't, probably an all-star, but people want to see them. And if you don't put people in the game that people want to see, there's no sense of playing the game. I understand you want to honor guys having the best year, but how many times they put guys in the all-star game and by the end of the season, they wouldn't have been an all-star? And I get it's for your performance up to that point. But I'm okay with guys getting in that, on name recognition alone. Of the guys we've talked about, though, the only one I'm giving it to is Trout. Aaron, that'll happen to Aaron Judge someday. LC K-Dog says, Cubs are coming close. You haven't told me what you want to be called by. Do I have to call it your whole name? LC K-Dog 67. I don't know what that's for. Cubs are coming close to trading for not only a pitcher, but also could be working on landing Eugenie Suarez. Suarez is going to be a big commodity come the trade deadline for sure. Yankees, I know, are interested. The question is going to be, will the Diamondbacks sell? And I don't think that's a given just yet. But Eugenie Suarez will be coveted by a bunch of teams, not just the Cubs, who had to cut base with, I'll never say the guy's name right, but they foolishly signed to, a pretty big contract after bringing him in at the trade deadline 2 years ago. Can't think of it. I can't say his name right now. The Pirates and Cubs have discussed a Keller for Bednar trade. Keller and Bednar trade. Bednar, I haven't looked at his numbers recently, but there's a guy whose stock has dropped a lot. And the Pirates are never going to try to win. By the way, Cabrian Hayes has come up in talks with the Yankees, speaking to the Pirates, along with some other third base possibilities, because the Yankees would rather get Jazz back to second base, take advantage of his range over there. DJ LeMahieu's played a little better, but still not the old DJ. Cubs will be active. Yankees will be active. It's going to be interesting, though. How many sellers are there going to be when you look at the wild card standings? That's a problem. And that's one of the problems with having so many wild cards. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams within 7 games of wild card in the American League. That's outside of the division leaders, by the way. And in the National League, not quite as bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams within 7 games. That doesn't leave a lot of sellers. Diamondbacks only 3 games out of the playoffs. How do you sell your fan base that you're trying to win if you trade when you're 3 games out of the wild card race? Again, one of the reasons I'll go back to 2 divisions and we wouldn't have this problem. I don't care about runaway races. And I'm probably in a minority there, LC, quite frankly, because people my age are dying. And the young guard who want, 12 playoff teams and interleague play are the guys who are running the show. Scott says, if Trout gets in, let's put Robert Schneider in the comments. That's a good one. Atlanta needs a left-handed bat Seth Brown could use a resurgence, as well as Willie Calhoun, who's down there with Luke Vogt. Chris, I'm starting to think that you might be getting paid to be the publicist for the Mexican League. What are Seth Brown's numbers? Give us some numbers of Seth Brown and Willie Calhoun. I don't know where Seth Brown is, quite frankly. By the way, Atlanta has a history of pulling guys off the scrap heap who were doing crap, though. George Solar was nowhere when they brought him in there 3 years ago when they won I think it was 3 years ago when they won the World Series. And Jock Peterson was nobody when they brought him in here, and they were a great team. Adam Duvall. These guys were on the precipice of being out of baseball in my mind. Atlanta brought them in there and resurged their career, and they were important cogs to winning a championship. So they've got a history of finding good guys. Drew on the National League. Yeah, I don't get Edman. Muncy, maybe. I'd have to look at all the other numbers, which I don't have top of my head right now. Edman, I don't get. Muncy is a better case than Edman. I'm going to say Muncy. Let me look at Muncy's numbers right now real quick, because I think Muncy's numbers are better this year than we think. I got him back on my team again, Drew, so I don't. Where is he? Mr. Muncy. Muncy, where are you, Muncy? Oh, he's hitting 250. That's like 50 points above his career average, 12 and 51. And he's got his strikeouts down to 65. He does have an 829 OPS. Yes, and by the way, he's not a terrible defensive player. Look at his WAR, which I don't like to look at, and I'm not going to bring it up. I just caught my eye. But he is one of the poster children for three true outcomes. He does walk a lot, does strike out a lot, does hit a lot of home runs. I can't argue that fact. But that's who we have. I mean, you have to choose among those guys. If we eliminate all those guys, like I'd like to, there's nobody to choose at all. Betts injured and suboptimum. Better outfield options than most of those picked. I agree 100% with all of that, except maybe Muncy. Fred led a hit. That was a great moment, actually. They broke a 11-game losing streak, I want to say, that year. That game was played in Comiskey Park, the old Comiskey Park. Fred Lynn hitting a grand slam against Atlee Hammaker, and Clemens versus Good in 86. All-Star game was magic. I got great memories of All-Star games past. We're going to go a little over the hour here. I'm going to leave us on Roku since anytime I stop it at 4 o'clock, there's nobody coming on anyway. Today I get yelled at. Memories, Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse. Great memory. The Fred Lynn home run was a big one. Clemens and Good in that 80, not the 86 All-Star game, his rookie year. His rookie year in 85, right? Or was it 84? He was like 19 years old. Just making mincemeat of these guys. Great memory. Randy Johnson pitching to John Kruk when he turned himself around to right-handed. Was a classic moment. Trying to think of some others. I remember my kids, my youth really rooting for the Yankees. Bobby Mercer, Munson, Nettles, in the 70s, early 70s anyway. It's kind of a highlight to be able to see Bobby Mercer. And again, a lot of guys are going to deride Mercer if I bring him up. As Bobby should have his number retired. Roy White should have their number retired. By the Yankees. They were the backbone of this team when it absolutely stunk. Probably my own personal bias there, by the way, because Bobby was my guy. What else? I thought I had a couple other All-Star memories in my head, and they've kind of disappeared. But there's been some really big moments in the World Series. Those are a couple that stand out to me. How about Washington? The game in Washington one year when, God, there was like 9 home runs were hit, and there was like, I don't know, 15 Hall of Famers playing in the game. Reggie's home run in Detroit, the year he had 47 home runs at the All-Star break, and everybody thought he was going to break Maris's record. And he finished, he had 37 right at the break, and ended up with 47. That's another great moment. K-Dog's in wish K-Dog. K-Dog, I don't know what to call. I'm going to say K-Dog. I like K-Dog better. He's in Wisconsin, a Cubs fan. There you go. Where's Paul Spada? He's up in Wisconsin. We know this isn't Paul under one of his false identities because he wouldn't have identified himself as a Cubs fan. How old, K-Dog? I gotta know how far you go back in the Cubs lore. Carson Kelly doesn't even have enough at bats to qualify league stat titles. Again, there's not a lot of good catchers around. There's hardly anybody who plays every day. I mean, Austin Wells is not hitting for the Yankees. I mean, I'm just trying to think of some guys off the top of my head. The guy in Colorado, the catcher in Colorado, Goodman, is it? I've got him on my fantasy team now. He's had a pretty good year in the National League. He did Nick fully participated. Sweet. That's good to know. Thank you for that, Scott. And I'm assuming he plans to, right? And Boss 08 is Tanner. Can you do me a favor, Scott? And can you reach out and make sure that they know that they're in and what they'll know what the draft date is. If you could just confirm, because I want to make sure we got all solid guys in there. I promised Rick I would make sure that we did. So I appreciate you doing that. So I can check with Alan, but if you want to check with Alan, Nick, and Tanner, that'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. Jeremy Pena, there's a good one. How about Jeremy Pena now getting a new? He's been in the middle of negotiations for a long-term deal with the Astros, and he switches agents to Scott Burrows in the middle of negotiations. Say goodbye to Houston, Jeremy. Aranda should be an AL first base candidate. That's fair. Listen, as much as I like Goldschmidt and the way he's bounced back, I don't know. I think it's nice that he's going to potentially get an all-star nod. I don't think Guerrero's having a Guerrero-type year. But again, the part of me says, and this has always been an argument, right, with the all-star game, going back to when I was a kid. Should the fans have the vote or should, players vote? And they took it away from the fans for a while, but they put in who they want to see. Hard to argue with that. K-Dog, I don't know that this is true. Bednar's come back. Remember, Bednar was awesome in 2023, and he was terrible last year. So maybe he's getting better. Maybe he found it. Maybe he was injured last year. Who knows? You know the Pirates are going to be moving a lot of guys. Is there anybody in their right mind who thinks that Paul Skeens will actually sign a long-term contract with the Pirates at any point in time? Because I don't. There's been talk about him trading them now, which if they traded him now when I think he's got, we know he's got years of team control left. It's either 5 or 7. I can't remember the number. But even 5 is a huge number. They would get a tremendous haul for him if they decided to trade him. They'd also be crazy, and their fan base ought to burn the stadium down. I'm not condoning violence. That is just, a figure of speech if they were to trade him. Here's my question. When do the Pirates there you go. There you go. Probably anytime soon. As soon as somebody gives him a big haul. He would get a bigger haul than the Nationals got for Soto. But then they just screw it up anyway. The Pirates don't try to win. If I'm a fan there, I would boycott this freaking team. You take any money you get, revenue sharing money, it goes in your pocket. You don't try to make the team better. They're going to trade Ke'Bryan Hayes, and he's going to take off somewhere. I'd like to see Ke'Bryan Hayes playing in pinstripes and following his father's footsteps. His father was on that 96 World Series championship team, played a really good third base. Somebody that I've tried to get an interview with. We're friends on Facebook. He's really good friends with Bob Noto, who commented here a lot. Last year, Bob would run into him at the Yankee fantasy camp every year. We'll get him on one day. And also, a cousin of mine, Chris Yeager, is good friends with Charlie Hayes as well. Call me K-Dog. That's fine. All right, you got it, my friend. I have no idea. We're not going to be clicking on this. This was not the official report. I don't know what this is, Montu, but we're not going to be clicking on any links. Tell me what this is about, and we'll have a conversation. Rookie question from the UK pond, Keith. Does a starting pitcher have to go full 9 innings in a complete game to qualify for a no-hitter? Yes. Well, I guess 8 innings and losing would give you a no-hitter, though. It's a complete game. Actually, you couldn't pitch 8 innings if you were losing, correct? Is there any situation where a pitcher can have a complete game and pitch 8 innings? I don't think there is. So, no, the answer would be 9 innings to get recognition. And the problem is, and somebody here can correct me, if it goes past 9 innings and somebody gets a hit, you're going to lose credit for that no-hitter as well. So there aren't going to be a lot of individual no-hitters pitched anymore just because of the way teams, organizations approach pitchers today, which has done them new favors. You see as many pitchers getting hurt now as ever, and so babying them is the wrong way to go, has been proved. Good question, though, Michael. Eugenio Suarez or even Alec Baum would be better than Muncy. Baum's average. I would say Muncy's at least as good as Baum. Suarez, yes. I mean, Suarez has got some huge power numbers. Probably a better glove, I think, than Muncy as well. I mean, listen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time arguing about whether Muncy, Suarez, or Baum belong on the All-Star team. I really don't get, I don't think I ever have necessarily gotten really worked up about guys that might get slighted or, I mean, it's good fodder to talk about here. But at the end of the day, I don't mind watching some of these guys that I may not have been on if they weren't voted in by the fans. I've hated the game anyway for about 10 years. I can't tell you. It's been at least 10 years. It might be 15 or more. Maybe it's 20 since I watched an entire All-Star game. They don't care about winning or losing. They do stupid stuff like put home field advantage in a World Series tied to it. Stop with the gimmicks and just ask the players to play like it's a regular game. Play the game the way Pete Rose played it. Play in the game the way Yaz played it. There was a reason the National League was dominating the American League for many, many years. I know I just said Yaz, so this kind of contradicts what I just said. But most of the players in the National League cared about winning, and the American League didn't. Now nobody cares. They want to get mic'd up between innings, or not even between innings, during innings. CA, I published a fantasy football league, so it's open to anyone. You're still having issues. Easy to tell them to go to the list of the league, free and custom. TGI Sports Talk will be among the others on August 27th. Okay. We'll figure it out. I just haven't found a way. Usually, and I think I'm thinking of ESPN. Their fantasy leagues, it's so easy to share. I just got to get the URL, and on my phone I'm not getting it, but we'll get these guys in there. I'm going to post the URL in the show Sunday morning, so we'll get them in. Fantasy update. Keith, Rick, and I are all in dogfight so far. Well, better idea where we are by Sunday's show. I've been making runs on Sundays lately where previously I would be ahead on Sundays and blow my lead and lose by a bunch. I've been coming back on Sundays lately. Just eye and fork plays. That's all I want. Get me in the playoffs and anything can happen. It's just hard. Dailies are hard, man. You forget. K-Dog is 36 years old. Young man. It does explain some of your, again, I'm not saying it's wrong because I think younger people look at the game differently because they're used to it. You don't remember much before interleague play, I would think, and 3 divisions and 27 wild cards. It is what it is. I mean, I grew up a different way. I do hope, and K-Dog, you are out there teaching your kids to play the right way, which I'm sure you are. Don't turn doubles into singles. Run out of the box. Don't ESPN it. I'm confident you're doing that. I like your logo. I like the way you handle yourself here, K-Dog. Don't be a stranger. Don't forget. So we have the MLB update right now. Fridays at 3:00. We'll see what happens when I retire. We've got the Sunday Stream of Consciousness on Sunday mornings at 8:30 Eastern. We do a couple hours talking about all of sports. It's the audience's show, and I let them have their way. And then we're going to have 2 shows with Jack Hirsch. I'll be co-hosting with him on Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern. And then College Football Huddle. If you're a college football fan, we'll be coming back in August on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., most likely. And we'll see what we do with the interview show. Trying to think of some Cubs that I've had on the show to interview. K-Dog, and I can't think of any right off the top of my head. I'm sure I've had a couple of Cubs on, though. Scott will reach out. Thank you, my friend. Jeremy Pena is having his best all-around season. Down a very good season, right? Where, by the way, is he anywhere near? I always have this theory. 27 years old. I think he's younger than that. 27 years old is a sweet spot. Where's Jeremy Pena? These are pitchers. Where's my infielders? 27 years old. I've been playing fantasy sports, fantasy baseball itself since 1986. We had the same 12 teams in a league for 30 years. I left that league in 2017, I think. That was a dynasty league. You could keep players. It was an auction league and salaries. It was really complicated and a lot of fun. But since 1986, I have read so many articles that will tell you that 27 years old is when all these players come in. Not all these players. Majority of players really hit their peak years. And guys who have struggled before that are most likely to suddenly break out. Having a great year. Depends on whether you want the All-Star game to be a legitimate game between achievers with their own uniforms. Thank you for that. Or just a wasted popularity. But again, that's you're editorializing like I tend to do. No, I can have both, by the way. They don't have to wear Kardashian tags. The game's no different as far as selecting players and guys getting into that you perceive are not worthy than it was, again, 50 years ago. Right? I mean, when I played, when I go back and watch old 70s All-Star games all the time on YouTube, and there's lots of guys in there who were undeserving. So that part hasn't changed. I mean, you could have I'm torn between the two. I want to see the best players play, but I want to see my guys in the All-Star game too. There was a couple of years Bobby Mercer made the All-Star team and started and probably didn't deserve it. and I could care less. I wanted to see Bobby Mercer in the All-Star game. It's probably different today because, again, I can see these guys any night of the week. I can go find I'm going to see maybe not any week, but any night, but any given week, I can probably see everybody playing in the All-Star game sometime during that week if I wanted to. It was different then. At least where I lived, I got about 10 regular season games a year. I listen to my team on the radio. That's why I still love radio baseball. If I could find decent radio casters. But so maybe that's what's different now, right? I mean, I wanted to see Bobby Mercer play against the guys I never saw play. But I don't want guys who are, AA guys out there. But again, the guys I'm talking about when I say popularity contest, Drew, I'm talking about guys who have earned it throughout their career, like Mike Trout. He's my poster guy. All right. Not, I don't know. Who do we talk about? Who else have we talked about not deserving to be in there? Jackson Holiday. I'm not saying Jackson Holiday should be in there. Mike Trout deserves to be in the All-Star game for the things that he's done in his career. I'm sorry. And if people want to see him. Again, that's not new. And by the way, the overachievers, or the achievers, were put in the Kardashian togs as well. Everybody's got their own thing. I mean, now, here's the thing. You're probably not going to get me to watch the game no matter what they do now. Because, again, I don't care if the achievers are out there or not. I don't want to see them mic'd up and listen to them talk to the booth for 2 innings. I could care less. I mean, geez, God, 2 years ago when oh, God, who was the Yankee lefty that they traded? See how fast you deaded me? When Trevino and oh my God, can you imagine? There's always a name I can't remember. Them two guys being Mike, just nonsense. I don't want to see that stuff. I'd rather see a popularity contest than the way they clown up the game with phony uniforms, talking to the players during the whole time. That's not a legitimate game. None of these guys care about winning. None of them. I shouldn't say none of them. That's not fair. The majority of them could care less. They want to get their 10 grand for getting interviewed during the game. I don't know. What do you got here? All right. Unfortunately, none of those guys are here today to take advantage of that. We'll get it in there. We'll get him in. Actually, yeah, Paul said that he did get to the league, and it said the league was full. And I said, that can't be right because you're set for 16 teams. So you could have shorter inning no-hitter if it was ended by web. Yes, that's actually a good point. Thank you, Drew. You could have. Now they changed that. By the way, one of the biggest thefts to me in the history of baseball, well, might be a little bit of hyperbole. During the COVID season, right, when doubleheaders were shortened to 7 innings, Madison Bumgarner threw a no-hitter for 7 innings. He wasn't allowed to pitch anymore because the game was over. And this rule took away his no-hitter, which is ridiculous. You'd put a rule in shortening the game. This is why Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred are so tone deaf and ridiculously stupid. Man, I've got negative, haven't I? End of the show. K-Dog hates the way the game is played now. Professional baseball is a prime example of how flawed pros are when it comes to fundamentals. Thank you, K-Dog. You are welcome to come to all my shows. Fundamentals are a thing of the past. God, you're the first guy in your age bracket that I've been able to come to me and preach to me what I preach to everybody else. Thank you, my friend. You become one of my favorites. into one show. Good job. Fundamentals. They can't do anything fundamentally correct. We'll just put in rules. K-Dog, you're new to the show, so I'm going to go on a rant. We do have to wrap this up by 4:30, though. Major League Baseball continues to put in rules to overcome players' fundamental flaws. The fact that they continue to hit in the shift, we put in rules to eliminate the shift, not teach them how to hit away from it. And please don't tell me guys are throwing too hard to do that, because that's a bad argument. There are still ways to take approaches at the plate that will allow you to have a better chance to get on base than hitting into the middle of a shift. So we eliminate the shift to do that. Guys can't steal bases anymore, so we shorten the base pass by making the bags bigger. And you can only throw over to first base twice. So we artificially inflate stats or improve a certain part of the game because we can't teach the guys how to do it correctly. We're going to make it easier for it to do them by changing the rules. So anyway, that's just a couple of examples. I can go further if you'd like, K-Dog, but we'll save it for another time because these guys have all heard it 1,000 times. I'm like a broken record. All I know is I always pimp out the batter's box, no matter what. The bat flips are the most important style on the profiling. We have to take into account ethnicity in these things. Remember, we were told when the whole who's the kid from the guy from Toronto? God, I get worked up and my mind is worse than ever. Anyway, we're told that bat flips is just it's a cultural thing. Really? I'm being racist again. Sorry. We still preach it in school. Good for you. Fundamentals got us our first conference title in 38 years last year and our first regional title in 24 years this year. God bless you, K-Dog, and please keep it up, because if we get enough guys like you at the lower levels, maybe kids will fight back someday when it starts to be fundamentals. They're told fundamentals don't matter. Because apparently the powers that be at Major League Baseball are not going to do it themselves. Maybe the players need to revolt and put on their own fundamentals clinic for the coaches and the managers and say, you know what, we're going to hit behind the runner this time. We're going to bunt a guy over to third base when there's nobody out. Oh, by the way, we don't need that ghost runner at second base. Nobody bunts him over, though, which would be the fundamentally smart play. So I need you to keep teaching your kids the way you are, K-Dog. And maybe the players can revolt at some time, although they won't because you get paid to hit home runs. Go back and look at the Yankees dynasty in the 70s or even in the 90s. There weren't guys hitting 60 home runs. You had some decent home run hitters. You know why those teams won? Good pitching, solid defense, and timely hitting. Fundamentally sound teams. Keith, the Drew Pomeranz would be an amazing Cub to get. Did he pitch for the Red Sox at one point? 27 used to be the old standard for the average peak year, but with prospects coming out younger now, I expect that should be revised. That's possible. Well, they're also playing in the majors when they shouldn't be playing, though, too. So some guys, here's the thing. Some guys who might have been good, we may never find out because we get them up here too soon. But that's a valid point. Sure. Catchers tend to mature later than 27. That tends to happen. Not in every Jesus. Again, when I was a kid, that wasn't the case. Munson was playing at 20 or 21. Fisk was playing at 20 or 21. I got to stop living in the 70s, right? My wife tells me I need to stop living in the 70s. I like it there. That's got Kobe. There's no way to get Pomerantz. He's going to sign an extension with the Cubs. You can have him, by the way. I don't want him because Drew Pomerantz. These guys have a tendency to remember who they are at some point. I don't want Drew Pomerantz. I'm happy he's doing well for the Cubs. You can sign him to an extension, and you know what's going to happen because he's a reliever, and they suck the year after they sign extensions. No K-Dog for his interview show. I want K-Dog on my show. Are you kidding me? This guy's teaching baseball the way it should be taught. Do It by the BT Express. CA, we got about 5 minutes left, guys. Tonight at home is the Best of Keith Engle Ranch show. It's 2.5 hours. Glorious. Oh, you guys are killing me today. We got to go through the schedule here quick. Oh, LOL, my bad. Pomerantz would be great, but one of the best interviews to have is Matthew Boyd, one of the most down-to-earth guys I've ever met. Nice. I think he was talking about you. You'd be an interview, K-Dog. Dylan Rock of the Lexington Legends will go for history tonight as he has a chance to become the first player ever to hit a homer in 9 straight games at any level. Holds a record in the American League, I believe, is maybe Major League Baseball. Donnie Mattingly, 8 games. I'm going to have to root against Dylan tonight. What is the Lexington Legends, by the way? Is that an independent league? I don't know if it's a minor league team or it's a independent league. Mizorowski is already being christened next NL Rookie of the Year after only 3 games pitched. Yeah, that's brilliant. I saw the power rankings, right? He's very good. Ridiculous. Sorry, I didn't even leave the word out. He's very good. And Ryan-esque. Well, can we pitch more than 3 games before you call him Ryan-esque? I know you're talking about early Ryan-esque. I'm going to tell you something. Nolan Ryan was not the greatest pitcher of all time, but Nolan Ryan was the biggest freak of a pitcher of all time. Telling you 100%, there was no pitcher like Nolan Ryan ever because of how long he pitched. He didn't really change the way he pitched until he was 47 years old. Given how many 100-mile-hours throw end up, there's a possibility he gets injured before he wins the award. Again, if he was brought along the way Nolan Ryan was brought along, we wouldn't have to worry. You could throw 100 miles an hour as long as he wanted to, but they don't build up their arm strength, so they just say, go out there and throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. When your arm gives out, we'll give you Tommy John. You'll be better than new. You'll do it again, and we'll have you surgery. So you play every 2 years. I'm adding to the rant film. Ohtani's holding up old school baseball, only pitcher batting. That's fair. Michael Lorenz, has he not pitched at all this year? Or hit all this year? I'm still leery of how long Ohtani will be pitching. Pomerantz is healthy for the first time in 3 years, so he's probably legit. Gonna make me do this, right? I'm probably wrong. Because as I pointed out to Jack Hurst this morning, I have a habit of being wrong, and I also point out when I am. I want to look at his career, that's all. All right. 2011. That means a relief pitcher. Oh, he started a bunch of games, actually. Let's look at his ERA for his career. Come on, we're at 3.81. That's better than I thought. But he's had years of 5.4, 4.9, 6.2, throws in a 2.3, 3.6. That's not bad. 4.5, 6.8, 6.08, 4.5, 5.6. And actually, his last 3 years, he hasn't actually pitched since 2021. That's impressive that he's come back. I mean, he doesn't have any stats. It says did not play, injury in 2022, but he's got no numbers in 24 or 25. I'm sorry, 23 or 24. His best 2 years were the last two that he pitched in 20 and 21. All right. I apologize to Drew Pomerantz and his family. He's probably better than I thought. Just research. No Major League Baseball London series this year. I think they might be going to Germany. I'm not sure. Should return in 2026. Phillies and Mets again as a 2-game series. 2024 average 56,000 fans for each game. You need to get a ticket. You do need to get a ticket. And I'm going to go through the Keith Engle should interview Keith Engle. I do. Some of these shows are me interviewing myself. See you again, my friend, Drew. My good friend, my brother-in-law, my compadre in prognosticating baseball. Drew and I get into it now and again, but we think alike as much as we think differently. Let me go through because it is our tradition to kind of look at the weekend games, and I'll do this quickly. Any further comments you guys have, please put them up. But here's what we got for the weekend. Mets will be at Pittsburgh. Today start off with Peterson against Keller, the Cubs trade target. A's will be against the Yankees in New York. Bitch Spence and Will Warren. Will Warren and Clark Schmidt are really starting to step it up for the Yankees. We'll see as the season goes on how they'll hold up with innings as the innings build up. Tampa Bay will be at Baltimore. Tough one, JB. Ryan Pepiot against Sagano. The Twins will be at the Detroit playing some great baseball. Undecided, who's always my favorite pitcher, against Sawyer Gibson Long. San Diego at Cincinnati, Dylan Cease. Big disappointment so far this year against Nick Martinez. The Cardinals and Sonny Gray against Luis Ortiz and the team formerly known as the Indians. Toronto will be at Boston, Berrios against Bello. The Phillies are at Atlanta, Abel against Elder. Giants will be at the White Sox. That'll be Rupp against Savell. Seattle at Texas, Gilbert against Evalde, who's just coming off the disabled list. The Cubbies, K-Dogs, Cubbies will be at the Astros. There's a nice series. It's the Kyle Tucker series. Cade Horton against Brandon Walter. The Rockies on a pace for 32 wins and 130 losses will play Milwaukee, who's playing really good baseball. Undecided again for Colorado. That is their best player, by the way. Jose Quintana, will pitch for Milwaukee. The Dodgers will be at Kansas City, May against Cameron. The Nationals will spend the weekend in L.A. against the Angels, who are 500 that'll be Jake Irvin against a surprising Jose Soriano has not pitched badly. The Red Hot Marlins with 4 straight wins will play the D-backs. Perez against Merrill Kelly, one of my favorites. And our last few comments here. Great show again. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for all you do. Hopefully see you all Sunday. Hopefully see you too, Michael. Be good across the pond. It's already 9:30 over there. Evalde back today without a minor league stint. Great point too, Drew. Good stuff. Well done, guys. You guys make this show go. All my shows go. That's why we go over 30 minutes. Well done. We welcome our new, our old commenters. Old. You're not all old. We thank you for your contributions. Our newbie and K-Dog, we hope we see you on Sunday and on the Major League Baseball update going forward at some point. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk, MLB update. See you Sunday and see you Monday morning. We'll talk more about it Sunday with Jack Hirsch and our new show, Jack and Keith Sports Weekend. What? I better get the show name right before Sunday. See you later. Bye-bye.